Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson. You're watching the 505 Racing Show. I'm back. Missed you guys. I missed you guys. And yeah, 22 figure eight. Yeah, it was a little nap. Took a little nap. And then I actually changed here. I don't normally do that. I normally change back at the ranch. But I got dressed here because I was going to get a little snack on the way. And I didn't want to spill on my shirt because invariably that's what I do. But anyway, we're back. And before I forget, I also want to remind everybody that this Friday and Saturday, the 26th and 27th, from 7 to 11 p.m. at Camp Paquatuck in Santa Mauritius, we got the Spooky Walk 2018. Check it out and get yourself all scared, have a good time, and enjoy it. It's that time of year. Camp Paquatuck in Santa Mauritius. So go to SpookyWalk.com for more info about the Spooky Walk, but hope to see you all out there. Anyway, tonight's show, it's been a while, but tonight's show we're going to talk about the Cup. Was it Kansas? We got the Xfinity there. We're going to congratulate a champion that we all know on his first championship. And one of the things I looked at tonight or over the weekend was everybody complains about the new NASCAR. Well, I'm going to take a look at the top 10 reasons, or I'll say biggest controversies in NASCAR according to sportsbreak.com. And we'll just talk about some racing stuff. As we all know that the banquet season for the NASCAR Wheeling All-American Series will be starting up soon with anywhere from now to mid-January. Weekly tracks across the country in Canada, Mexico, Europe. They will start their banquets. So we'll be talking about the banquets and things of that nature. But to get right into this, I think we'll go right to the Xfinity Series results that were this past weekend. And actually, they were in Kansas. And so we got some stuff on that. And, the chase is coming to a close. So here we got to the Xfinity of Kansas. The winner was John Hunter Nemechek, followed by Daniel Hemrick. Elliott Sadler was third. Shane Lee was fourth. Tyler Reddick was fifth. Matt Tifft was sixth, followed by Ryan Reed in seventh. Ty Majeski was eighth. Ryan Sieg ninth. And Jeremy Clements rounded out the top 10. And the Xfinity now is down to 4 for the playoffs with 3 races remaining. Daniel Hemrick was the leader. Elliott Sadler is second. Tyler Reddick third. And Christopher Bell fourth. The next 3 races and final races, we got Texas Motor Speedway on November 3rd. We have Phoenix. Following that, and then the season finale at Homestead, Miami, Florida, which will round out the season for the Xfinity cars, and where a champion will be crowned. So that is all good. Next up, we got the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. And I'll tell you what, this kid has come alive. Chase Elliott was the winner there, followed by Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson was third. Eric Jones fourth. Martin Truex Jr. fifth. Brad Keselowski was sixth. Ryan Blaney seventh. Joey Logano eighth. Alex Bowman ninth. And Eric Almirola rounding out the top 10 there. The playoff standings, the final 4 in the Cup Series is Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Chase Elliott. Their next event will be this Sunday at the Martinsville Speedway down in Martinsville, Virginia. One of my favorite tracks to go watch a race at because it's short track racing. I love short track racing. You know, short track racing is the best. But you know, when you got this playoff system, and I'm not a big fan of the playoff system, I'm really not. And I understand NASCAR's reasoning for putting it together because this time of year, a lot of football, NFL, college football. And I'll tell you what, if anybody who lives in down south, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, you know, high school football is big on a Friday night. College football on a Saturday. The NFL on a Sunday. Racing wasn't exciting now. They had football to deal with. They had football to visit and watch and see. So that's what they want to do, and it's tough. So they had to establish something. And 22 figure eight, I don't want to say wins the Cup. Sprint Cup, maybe. But Monster Energy, NASCAR Cup Series is a lot to say. But no, it's a lot of us old timers still called it Winston Cup, Sprint Cup, Nextel Cup. People forgot that Nextel was a title sponsor for a short period. But NASCAR needed to create excitement. NASCAR ratings were dropping. So what did they have to do? They had to do something to make it interesting. Then they added the segment racing, and that made it. Now it wasn't, people weren't just racing the first 5 laps and to get a lap lead, the guys up front, and they weren't looking to, then they didn't race until like the last 20. So NASCAR tried how to create the segments to make it exciting again. Want to make it exciting, NASCAR? Take the restrictor plates off the big tracks and let the boys have at it. I don't know, that's my reasoning and my feeling on that. But you know, when you look at what's coming up, the playoffs, the final rounds, I guess we can call it, or the final 4. Basically, what's going to happen is almost the way you finish in Homestead is how you're going to be in the points. And you know, to have one race determine a season, that's my only drawback from that whole thing. You know, I know you want to have it tight and interesting, and I don't see a problem with somebody winning the championship with 4 races left to go, because there's still a juggling and bouncing and a moving from 2nd to 20th. You know, where you want to come in the top 20, you make the book, so to speak, or the top 15, so you qualify for the point funds. But that's what you want to do. And when you have it that way, that's what the fans want. Look at this grandstands. They're kind of empty, which they're kind of empty because NASCAR shot themselves in the foot when they had all these races on TV. And you could watch the race 3 or 4 times on demand and this and that. Why spend all that money to go to the race where you can get live coverage on your digital TV in surround sound? Where I used to crank mine up and the walls would shake when I watched the race on TV. But, and I agree with Jay Slice there that take the final race away from Homestead, move it to Bristol, Michigan, Martinsville. Make it a race. Make it where it's a beating and banging and true race. You know, it's one of those things, and you want to make it interesting. And I know next year's schedule, which we're going to talk about a little bit next week, is going to be a little bit different. And do I want to see some more road courses? Yeah, but I want to see some more short track races. And things of that nature. I want to see, you know, good hard racing, where you're side by side, where you know your sparks are flying. Run some of these things at night, and because that's where it's fun. That's where racing's, to me, is at its best. And I don't know. What do you folks think? I mean, you guys are the people that sit in the stands, turn the wrenches. You know, you go to your weekly track, you do your thing, and then, you know, Sunday you want to relax and maybe watch a race on a Saturday. You know, what do you guys think? I mean, like I said, I understand NASCAR's reasoning for the playoff system, which has been tweaked and tweaked and tweaked again. But here's what I see is that it's not the same NASCAR today as it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It wasn't what Big Bill France put in mind when he sat down with a bunch of guys at the Starline Hotel in Daytona Beach, Florida. This is what he had in mind. He had anybody that had a car that wanted to race could come race. And anybody who qualified for the race made it, got their money, and they got their points. Now, the problem is you're not getting full fields, and I think that's partly due to the charter system, where 36 teams are guaranteed in, no matter if they're the slowest guys in practice. And there's 4 teams that have to battle their way in. Who's going to go? Would you go, as a team owner, would you go to a race and say, okay, there's 50 people, there's 40 spots, you know, and you got to be realistic. What's my chances of getting in? Wow. Slim to none in some cases. So you know what? You're not going to go. And they're not even putting starting park guys out there to fill the field to make it at least look like a full field. So it becomes one of those things, and you sit back and you wonder. The fans aren't there. And here's the problem. And I'm gonna throw this out to you folks. Not that I'm gonna tell you to go buy tickets to the next race, and don't pick Homestead, because that's gonna be full. But go online the day before the race and see how many tickets are available. You're gonna see not too many. Then you watch the race on Saturday or Sunday. There's gonna be a lot of empty seats. Why is that? The airlines jack up the prices, the hotels gouge, the restaurants gouge, so they stay home. They try to give them away, they try to sell them online, and that doesn't always work. Doesn't always work, you know? So anyway, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna come right back to NASCAR's biggest controversies, the top 10 reasons, from sportsbreak.com when we come back.
Hey, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Off, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Yes. NASCAR, controversial organization. And I'll tell you what, and this is no knock on NASCAR, and please understand that. It's not a knock. NASCAR is a business entity which came into play in 1948. And from its humble beginnings, all NASCAR wanted to do is generate racing and generate a way for racers to race at safe racetracks where the promoters weren't running off with the money and fans to come in and watch a race. So when you look at these things, you look at how that's evolved over the years. You know, Bill France and a bunch of his buddies, they were racers. They drove race cars. And I think that's part of the problem today, is that some of the upper management in NASCAR never turned a wrench, never built a race car, never raced a race car, never wrecked a race car, and never had to put it back together again so they can go racing again. But that's not what the controversies are about. The controversies are about some of the things that went on, and they're in no certain order, but one of the ones I'm going to start with is NASCAR's business model and its frequent use of the term in the rulebook detrimental to NASCAR, which is used often. It's one of those things. I was, in my racing days, when I got my fine notification overnighted to me from something I did or may not have done on a Saturday, and it was, and I know that it's 12-4B, actions detrimental to auto racing. Now, how could a little guy like me who raced on Long Island hurt NASCAR? Well, whether you were at a fifth of a mile racetrack at Islip Speedway, Long Island, and Islip, or a 2.66 mile racetrack in Talladega in Alabama, if you mess up, you're representing NASCAR. So I guess that's detrimental. Now, NASCAR is a family-owned entity since 1948. And I've said this before, NASCAR is a business. And like any business, you have to make money. You have to make money. Otherwise, you're out of business. And I know a lot of people think, come on, I have tons of money. Bigger organizations than NASCAR went out of business. Think about that. Bigger companies. And 22 feet, right? I'll tell you what. You need to come and be like a guest co-host because you make me crack up. But those are the things NASCAR has to do that. And if you're going to do something that's going to hurt NASCAR, they don't want you there. You know, they don't want you there. And if you're going to be out there wrecking people and crashing people on purpose and bad-mouthing NASCAR, they don't want you there. 12-4B, you go home. Now, Here's another thing, another controversial thing that a lot of people talk about with NASCAR. And it has to do with NASCAR's impact on the environment. Think about this. You have 40 cars scheduled to race, probably burn up 100 gallons of fuel, even though it's not the same fuel that's used on street cars, but 100 gallons of fuel. Not to mention the hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel, if not more, that are used to get to and from. And think about the tires and the rubber and that is used using natural resources. NASCAR is working on, at the R&D Center in Concord, North Carolina, electric cars or hybrids in an effort to adhere to EPA standards, which they never really did. Former President Richard Nixon, who's president from 68 to 76, or 1968 to 1976, I should say, went to NASCAR, went to Bill France and says, we're in an energy crisis. You can't be having 500-mile races. And Bill France was able to convince him that it wasn't the same fuel, wasn't made the same way, but he did agree to cut the races down 10%. So it was the Daytona 450 instead of 500. But a lot of people look at that. They look at the environmental impact that auto racing has on our country, on the world. A little controversial. Then we have Bill France's statement in 1983. If the Richard Petty's engine was 31 cubic inches too big, the rule said 358. Richard Petty was running almost a 390. He won the race. A lot of controversy. All right, now, Big Bill made a statement. The winner at the time of the fans leaving the track ought to be declared the winner, so that spectators do not go home and hear it on the radio or read it in news media of any significant changes. Think about that. Checker flag flies, car wins, goes to victory lane, it's all good. We take hours of pictures. Every sponsor hat has to be put on. News media runs the story. Headline, so-and-so wins. Then he's taken down in tech. Stuff. It's illegal. Bill France didn't want the people to go home and hop on the bus, the train, in their car and find out otherwise. So if you win the race on Sunday or Saturday or whatever day of the week it is, you're the winner. That win's going to cost you. The win's going to cost you. You're going to pay some money in fines, probably lose points, but you're still the winner. Okay? Oh, yes. Then we have 2013. 2013 at Richmond, Clint Boyer was asked by his crew chief to scratch and itch his arm over and over again, and even to the point where the TV announcers talked about it and cameras picked it up, and he spun, causing a caution with 7 laps to go. Boyer's teammate won the race, and that win knocked Jeff Gordon out of the chase. That was ugly. Michael Waltrip Racing had a lot of problems after that, because they manipulated the outcome, they manipulated the finish, and they kept the Jeff Gordon out of the chase momentarily, because then his team owner, Rick Hendrick, went to NASCAR and said, Jeff Gordon's not in the chase. DuPont's pulling out, and DuPont was a very big sponsor. The politics of racing. Another one, Wendell Scott, his 1963 win, which was, then it wasn't, then it was again. First African-American to win a top series event. When final tallies were checked, Wendell Scott had 2 laps over the declared winner, Buck Baker. A month later, NASCAR handed him the trophy. Said, we made a mistake. Wendell Scott said, where's the trophy, girl? Where's the media? Where's the cameras? Where's the band? Where are the fans? And the reason why NASCAR made that decision to not allow him to win at a racetrack in Florida was the trophy girl was a blonde, blue-eyed Caucasian woman. Down in the South, no dark-skinned man is going to be kissing a light-skinned woman in Victory Lane. That was a black eye in NASCAR's face, but, you know, think about it. It's 1963. The civil rights movement was just starting. So they quietly gave Wendell Scott that win. Buck Baker still swears that he won it, but timing and scoring showed Buck Baker was 2 laps down. Wendell Scott lapped the field twice. It's a situation that I hope we never see again in NASCAR. And you know what? You know, when they talk about the first female race car, the first African-American, you know, race car driver, you know, at the end of the race, they're still race car drivers. Doesn't matter what you are, who you are, you're a race car driver. And yeah, the red phone. I think Rick Hendrick was in the NASCAR suite while they were celebrating in Victory Lane. One of those things. Then in 1961, another NASCAR controversy. Drivers Curtis Turner and Tim Flock were banned from racing in NASCAR by Bill France after the 2 drivers tried to unionize the drivers. Both drivers were banned, as it was said at the time, for life. Now, they were reinstated 2 years later. Now, why did they want to unionize? If you do your homework on that, all they wanted was a fair purse, fair coverage if they got hurt, and maybe a little pension money for risking their lives at back and then 50 weeks out of the year to go racing. And they had a couple of drivers sign on with them, and they were going to form what they called the PDA, the Professional Drivers Association, covered by the Teamsters. And Bill France wasn't having none of that. You want to race in that union? Go race somewhere else. In fact, Bill France made a statement that was documented and recorded, and he stood up in front of the drivers' meeting and said, after a race tonight, no known union members can compete in NASCAR. They cannot compete in any NASCAR series anywhere in this country. And if this isn't enough or tough enough for you guys to understand it, I will use a pistol to enforce it. That's how against the drivers' union Big Bill France was. Because the drivers at the time, they weren't making a lot of money. Some of them basically just got mule money. And all they wanted was their fair share. People coming in, sponsoring events. Promoters were making money from ticket sales. They just wanted a piece of the pie. Then another controversy, 2007. Everham Motorsports. They were penalized 25 points, along with a slew of other penalties for their driver, crew chief, owner. Now, 2 members of his crew were also docked points. Another team was docked 50 points for illegal modifications. And Bobby Kennedy, the competition director for NASCAR, for Michael Waltrip Racing, was ejected by the racetrack and by NASCAR when an illegal substance was found in Michael Waltrip's intake manifold at Daytona the first time Toyota was going to race. Michael was forced to bring out the backup car because NASCAR took his car away, the first car, and lo and behold, that car had the same illegal substance in its intake manifold. Toyota needed to have a good run. Very controversial having a non-American car in the All-American race. I was at that race that day, and I was in the garage in the tech area, and Michael was pleading his case, but it was getting a little too heated, so it was brought into the big white trailer. So I didn't hear what went on in there. But basically, NASCAR rolled out a house car, painted up like Michael Waltrip's car. Imagine that. NASCAR needed to have Toyota do good, and Michael wanted to run his car, and NASCAR told him, run our car. And Michael said, my car is good enough to win. And NASCAR said, Michael, you're going to run our car. And Michael said, no, I'm not. So, they find this illegal substance in the intake. Now, on a track 2.5 miles long, around tri-oval, if there was enough of that substance in his intake manifold to help him go faster, it wouldn't have worked because the whole intake manifold would have been full with this substance. If it was a short track, maybe. NASCAR decided they needed to run their car because, just because. You figure it out. Why do you think they needed them to run the house car? How could they paint and letter a car up in 15 minutes? I was there. And when I saw this as one of the top 10 controversial times in NASCAR, I said, wow, I was there for that one. Because of what Michael did and what he was caught doing and what he vehemently fought NASCAR for, he was docked 100 points. It took him till mid-season to get into the plus column on the points. Unbelievable. Then in 1991, it was the All-Star race. Junior Johnson ran with an oversized engine. Big. It was an all-star race. Who's gonna catch him? His driver at the time, Tommy Ellis, did not race that day. It was a non-points race, but it had a big payoff. So Johnson became the fill-in driver. Now, what happened was they were caught. The penalty was severe back then. It's a 4 to 12 week ban on racing. That's big. That's a third of the season. Now, instead of Johnson being punished, well, before he could be, Junior Johnson transferred ownership of his race team to his wife. His driver didn't get in trouble because he didn't race the event. And Junior Johnson, as the driver, didn't get in trouble. The car owner did. So after Junior Johnson transferred ownership to his wife couldn't bring the team to any race for 4 to 12 weeks. Didn't matter. So with that, Junior Johnson bought another car, changed numbers, bought a number, and they were able to race. He ran the races that he was supposed to be banned for. He beat NASCAR at their own game. They circumvented the rules. Ah, yes. 2003, Angela Harkness, after meeting with a Wells Fargo bank vice president while performing as an exotic dancer, we'll say, she convinced the bank to help buy cars from Robert Yates Racing. A team was established. They debuted in the Xfinity, then Busch Series, and then all of a sudden, checks were bouncing, the money was laundered, the bank president lost his job, and the team broke up. NASCAR was touting this team as a female-owned, all of that good stuff. They ended up with a little egg on their face. tough thing. And the last thing we're going to talk about is April 2007. Tony Stewart, he said some bad things about NASCAR on a radio show. He said, NASCAR is playing like it's God. They could almost dictate the race up to and knowing who's going to win. Wow. He also said, I don't know if they run a fair race all year. Now, when you think about statements like that, coming from a guy who needs to compete, who runs his business through NASCAR, you're like, wow, how could he say something like that? Oh, well. Some controversial things in NASCAR. I'll probably come up with some more over the years, but again, it's not to knock NASCAR. It's just to let them know that sometimes in business, you got to bend your rules a little bit. But you know what? You got to do it in a way that nobody knows, and the only way you can do it that nobody knows is don't tell anybody you're doing it. Because once they know you're doing it, you know, I got a friend, real cool, real close to me. I'm going to whisper in his ear. He's going to tell his friends, and one of his friends is going to be out shooting pool one night, and he's going to tell 17 friends before you know it, the whole world knows. And next, you know, CNN News has it on and a real news broadcast. But anyway, before we take a break, remind everybody that Friday and Saturday, October 26th and 27th at 7 to 11 p.m. at Camp Paquatuck in Santa Mauritius. Go to SpookyWalk.com for more info. You'll have a fun time. Hope to see you there. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. This hour is going by pretty quick today. Yes, 22 figure 8. It was Speed Racing Radio. It was on WGSM 540 AM in Long Island with Jeff Bressler and Ricky Miller. And we also streamed live video, and of course you can hear it too. The late Ricky Miller, who was a longtime writer in the Gator Racing News. I took a couple of trips to Bristol with him, and we had a great time. And Jeff Bressler was an announcer at the Riverhead Racing on Long Island, and it was funny. I went on the show to be a guest co-host one night and never left. That's like the story of my life, you know. When I fall into good stuff, I just show up and just keep staying until I get chased away. But anyway, it's all good. I think we're like at show 373 right now, but not that that matters. But I did a little quick math in my head. But we had a weird 2018. We had a lot of missed shows for some whatever reasons, weather, things to do, away, work, but we all had fun. But speaking of having fun, and this is something I don't normally do. Our show is growing leaps and bounds. And you know what? Because our viewership is getting so large, if anyone out there would like to be a part of our marketing program, just send me a message. Send Joe at Inravio.com. Hit me up on Facebook. Or any of the people, let us know, because we have programs that would help your business. At the same time, we could help your business, you could help us. It's a little mutualism, and we'll have some fun with that. So I want to thank the current sponsors, past and present, who have supported us over the years. It's over 7 years. It's 7.5 years that we're doing this, and every year I look and see, wow, how many viewers do we have? And every year it goes up. And you know, we're hitting numbers now that just are incredibly high. I would have never thought when I first started doing this with Henry Boston, and we sat in the other studio at a board, and we did everything. We controlled the music, the sound, and I looked at this big thing, and I was like, Henry, can you do this? He was no, and you know, and people would call in, and they'd be saying, hello, hello, and I'm talking to them, and I didn't press the button. But anyway, we've come a long way here at Inravio.com and the 505 on Racing Show. So you want to be a part of us, other than just talking in the chat room or on the Facebook Live, just let us know. We got a program that is going to fit you. Anyway, banquet season's coming up for the weekly series and the touring series as well. Now, we know in the touring series they have a big, giant bash down at the Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they make it very clear to you on your tickets and in your ticket order form, if you are going to be on stage, whether as a presenter or a receiver of any type of award, you need to dress appropriately. And I say appropriately, they would really like to see the top teams in tuxedos, but every other receiver of an award needs to be in a nice suit, a nice tie, shaved, hair combed, brushed, picked, whatever you do with your hair, nice shiny shoes. If you're not, they will pick somebody that is to accept your award. Believe me when I tell you. Now, in the weekly series, I've been to so many of those banquets at so many racetracks, and it don't appear to be any dress codes. And those who've been watching this show for 7.5 years know this is probably the 6th or 7th time I've mentioned this in late October, and I'm going to mention it throughout November. And now I'm going to start posting pictures of people, how they accepted the awards. Now think about this. You just won the Street Stock Championship at whatever speedway, and you have sponsors. Maybe you don't. But when you show up in ripped jeans and a dirty T-shirt, and you haven't shaved in three days, and you have your baseball cap on that you change your oil in, and you're receiving your championship trophy, Acme Corporation, you're going to look at their track website. Oh, I'm going to sponsor a winner. And he sees that picture, or she sees that picture. Guess what? That sponsor's not going your way. Now, you might be blessed enough that you could just go to the bank and keep going to the ATM and taking cash out, or mommy and daddy are footing the bills. But you know what? If you don't have a suit, you can't afford a suit. And I understand that. I remember being in that position years ago. But you can go to the local dollar store and get a 99-cent tie and a cheap shirt. You're only going to wear it once. Dress the part. You're a champion. You know? Jay Slice, you're my buddy, man. You know me a long time. And for those who are in the Facebook Live, Jay Slice wrote, you can tell winter's coming by that speech. And it's not a rant, 22 figure eight. I don't do the rant, well, sometimes, but I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to help you guys understand that people look at this. You're going to be in your local racing papers, and you're going to look like, Again, you don't have to get a tuxedo, but wear a shirt and a tie. And you know what? Something I learned when I first learned to iron, I never ironed the back because I always had a jacket. I just ironed the front and this part, the cuffs, because this part was in my jacket. So, you know, we can go. I just went the other day and I brought a shirt to the dry cleaners. I said I only need it pressed because I need it, you know, nicely pressed. You know, it's just one of those things that you show pride in yourself. Because when you show pride in yourself, then other people are going to look at you, a potential sponsor. Hey, you know what? This kid, you don't want a guy or a gal representing you, your company, organization, when they have trouble representing themselves. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way that you want to go racing. We all know racing costs a lot of money. And we know in the weekly racing series, there's a lot of drivers out there who are out of racing, not because their talents deteriorated. They're not racing because they can't afford it. And maybe it's not even that they can't afford it. They have obligations. They have a mortgage. They have medical expenses. They're raising children. They're going to school. And, you know, the priorities. But if you could do that as a competitor and not have to write your own personal check, not reach into your own personal pocket and go racing, that's big. That's real big. And I'm in 22 figure eight. We joke around. I was never you know, if you had to pick out of 20 cars, the 19 who might have a chance to win, I wasn't that guy. But I never went in my personal pocket to race. I always had some help somewhere, somehow, whether it was from a corporate person or a local little place. You know, and the way you do that is you talk to them and you tell these companies that you're going to help them grow their business. And you tell these companies and show them how their business grew. And Winnie, you're 100% correct. They can't even come to work dressed nowadays in a job that they have to dress. And I'm old enough to remember the milkman wore a tie. The bread guy wore a tie. The guy in my local dairy barn across the street from my house when I was 7 years old wore a red shirt with white stripes and a bow tie. The soda delivery guys wore uniforms with a tie. If you watch old movies, no matter what the guy does, as a job, he wears a jacket and a tie. Women always wore nice dresses and shoes. You know, their underwear wasn't hanging out. They didn't have the hats on sideways or backwards. And I've always said there's only two people that I know, I mean entities of people, that should wear their baseball cap backwards, is a catcher in baseball and a tail gunner in a P-51 fighter jet. Everybody else should wear it the right way, you know, and everybody has something. You know, 22 figure eight, he had help from his dad, you know, and you know, I didn't have, my dad wasn't into racing. He thought it was a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. So I got creative, and I was able to do that. I was blessed. And maybe I didn't put my money in the right spots, but, you know, I look at the 74 K&N Pro Series team, and what they've done for their sponsor, from a little legend car team to K&N Pro Series, winning a race, and then being asked by NASCAR to represent them at PRI. Why? Because it's the appearance. It's stuff like that that propels you. And when you do stuff like that, then it becomes easier to get sponsors. Because it's not about, hey, sponsor, give me money so I can buy tires. No, it's, hey, Mr. Sponsor, I could help you grow your business by doing this, 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 and this. And once that's all done, it's all good. You know, it's all good. And, you know, a lot of people were jealous of Richard Petty back in the 60s when he was winning all those races because he wasn't sharing STP money. Why should he? He went and got it. He worked hard at that. And it was almost a lifetime sponsorship that Richard Petty developed with STP back in the days of Andy Granatelli, who was president of STP Motorsports Marketing, you know. And I've like 22 Figure Eight just said, I had one of my drivers go up to a guy, hey, you want to sponsor our car? And the guy goes, yeah, what do you need? He goes, I need money for beer for my crew. The guy walked away. You know, that's not what you say. But getting back to the Banquets, they're coming up. They're coming up, and I'm not saying go out and buy a $500 suit, but at least wear a dress shirt and a tie. Maybe shave, unless you're having a beard come in. Maybe shave a little bit. Maybe trim it even, you know, something. I'm sure you can find a razor blade somewhere. You know, if you need one, I'll give you one. But look good. Because you're representing your racetrack also. And now the racetrack wants to get a sponsor to sponsor your class or division so they could pay more money in the purse. And they go to the website. Boop, 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 boop. No, that's not what we want representing our company. No, it's not. And I'll tell you what, with my cars, again, we weren't top runners. We were pretty competitive when Brian Cicella was driving for me. You know, we were, you know, in the hunt. But on Sundays, when we were at the events, signing autographs, taking pictures, and Jay Slice could tell you, like he just did, had a lot of memories, a lot of fun, met a lot of people. Because that's what it was all about, promoting our sport. You know, I didn't do the Lost Racetrack segment tonight because I knew I was going to go onto this other rant, but think about some of the tracks that closed, because they just it gets out of control sometimes, you know, and you have to think about it. You have to look at the long-term picture. What am I going to do to promote my racetrack so I could get promoted and my sponsors could get more so that they could give me more and give my racetrack more? It's a tough thing, and it starts at the Banquets. It's now that you start looking for sponsorship for next season. It's now. The budgets are being determined. They're trying to figure out what they have in advertising, where it's going to go, and all you have to do is get into somebody's ear and let them know what you could do for their company, not what they're going to do for your race car. And I'm going to give you a little secret. I don't normally give out my secrets, but this secret became my second biggest sponsor dollar-wise. The guy didn't see any value in putting his logo on my race car. Zero. Now, he had a way to monitor where his customers came from. So I said, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the rear panel of my race car. I'll pay for the decal myself. I'll have it put on properly. And every time my car gets wrecked, which was, I don't know, 22 Figure Eight every week, it was fresh and clean the following week. And I said to him, from what you could prove, just kick me back 2%. So for those who aren't good with math, that's $2 on 100. Season ended. It's October. We go to dinner. And he says, oh, here's your 2%. I'm figuring a few $100. He handed me $6,000 to go racing. I showed him a return, and that was in 1994. And if I was racing Saturday, that company name would be on my car, and he'd be giving me money for tires and fuel. He sponsored my daughter's both cars when she raced, and the car that Brian Cicella raced when he drove for me, and the car Randy Johnson drove when he drove for me, and the car Terry Stiles drove when he drove for me. He also helped out late model driver Gordon Burnsot, figure eight champion Tom Kraft, and also a car owned by Bill Farrell at Riverhead. That's what it's all about, guys and gals. And the banquets are coming up. Look good. Anyway, I think I went over, maybe a little. Crowd control room saying no because I forgot we started a little later today. We got plenty of time, so put your feet up. Start racing. But anyway, Jay Slices, it's funny. The return is, and when you get that return, and that's how you have to sell it. That's how you have to sell to a sponsor. You know, whether they have a bar, a bakery, a deli, a restaurant, a funeral home. I had a funeral home for a long time. Or if there's some people, you know, from downtown Brooklyn who need to get rid of some cash, you know, do the right thing, they'll help you out. It's all good. It's all good. And it's one of those things. And yeah, 22 for 8, we did have fun tonight. And yes, my good friend WJ, last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about him. And even from heaven, he helped me out a week and a half ago. And I'm not going to get into how, but he did. And it's all good. Anyway, before we wrap up, again, this Friday and Saturday, the 26th and 27th, from 7 to 11 p.m., Camp Paquatuck in Santa Mauritius, Spooky Walk 2018. Go to SpookyWalk.com for more information. Hope to see you there. It's going to be a fun, scary event. And it's worth to take the ride out here in Santa Mauritius. It's easy to get to from Sunrise Highway, Route 27. Or you could even take the expressway to probably exit 68 to William Floyd South to Montauk Highway and go from there. But go to SpookyWalk.com for more information. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being a part of tonight's show. We had a good time tonight. It was my first day back after a couple of weeks off, so I want to thank those who reached out for me. I want to thank you for reaching out and helping our family get through a difficult time. But we're back. We're back. Life must go on, and we're going to go on. We're going to have fun every day, because we never know when today's the last one. So anyway, again, I want to thank everybody for taking time. And wherever your endeavors will bring you this week, please be safe. Please be careful. Tell somebody that you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all. And we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Inravio.com. Inravio.